In 1964, Festool invented the very first track saw, and now they've invented a track saw with two blades, the main blade and now a scoring blade as well. Up until now, scoring blades were something that were only available on larger commercial machines like this slide table saw. And it's a blade that sits right out here in front of your main blade that spins in the opposite direction of your main blade and scores the underside of the material as you're cutting it to prevent tear out, which is now exactly what the scoring blade does on the new track saw. When you go to plunge the track saw down, you'll notice that as the main blade comes down, so does the scoring blade. And that scoring blade will spin in the opposite direction, cutting a clear path for the main blade to then follow through, eliminating tear out on both sides of your cut. Now, the two most impressive things about track saws are, one, because they ride on top of a track, they cut extremely straight lines. And second, because of the track, they also cut a really clean line on the inside of the cut. And that's because the weight of the saw on top of the track and the rubber thing on the bottom of the track is holding the material down. So when your blade is spinning and starting to come up through the bottom, that track is holding it down and preventing the tear out as the blade comes through. But on the other side of the cut, that blade can still come through and there's nothing holding it down, and that will cause some tear out. Now, in most cases, the piece on that side of the blade is garbage anyways and you don't really care. But if you're cutting down the middle of the board or a part of the board where you're trying to save both pieces and get a clean cut, then you've got to do something on the outside of the blade to prevent tear out. And Festool did come up with a solution for that. You'll see right up here is this green thing, which is a splinter guard. So you'll put your track saw down on top of the piece of work, and you can loosen this knob off right here. You'll push that splinter guard down to the top of the wood, and then tighten it back up. And now as the blade's coming through, it's got downward pressure on both sides of the blade to prevent tear out on both sides the best that it can. But the scoring blade on this new one is a whole new level of tear out prevention. On my big panel saw here, I can adjust this scoring blade up and down and side to side to get it just in line with my blade to give it the perfect cut to prevent tear out. And the engineers at Festool have put the same two features on this saw. You can adjust the height of the blade with this knob right here and shift it left to right with this knob right here. And you can use this switch right here to engage or disengage the scoring blade. So then you can use the saw with or without the scoring blade, depending on what you're cutting. Now, the reason that setting the depth of the scoring blade is important is that if you look really closely right here, you'll see that the tip of the blade is V-shaped. So the further down you adjust the blade, the wider the blade gets. And you can keep adjusting it down until it exactly matches the curve of your blade, giving you a perfect cut with no tear out. Another really cool thing to mention about the scoring blade is that it's diamond coated, giving you very precise cuts and a very long lifetime for this blade. Another reason why you can get such clean cuts with the scoring blade is that the blade spins in the opposite direction as the main blade. The main blade is spinning around this way and is coming up to the bottom of the wood, which is the cause of the tear out we're trying to prevent. The scoring blade, however, spins in the opposite direction. So as the blade comes around, it's engaging the top of the wood and pushing down through the wood, which all by itself prevents tear out because of the direction of the blade. If they made the main blade turn in that direction though, when you went down to plunge in, your saw would take off and shoot through the wall of your shop. So it's very cool to see the original inventors of the track saw come up with yet another cool addition to the track saw like they've been doing since 1964.